There are moments in life when heartbreak does not feel like sadness. It feels like an ending. Not just the end of a relationship, but the end of the version of you that believed love would protect you from pain. You wake up one day and the person who once felt like home has become a stranger. The messages stop, the voice disappears, the future you imagined collapses quietly in your hands, and suddenly the silence becomes unbearable. But heartbreak does not only hurt the heart, it reveals the heart. It shows you where you placed your hope, where you searched for identity, where you quietly made another person the center of your peace. And sometimes God allows heartbreak not because he wants to destroy you, but because he is calling you back to the part of yourself that you lost while chasing love. 1. Heartbreak reveals what you were standing on. Most people do not realize how much of themselves they place inside another person. Their happiness, their confidence, their sense of worth, their future. When that person loves you, you feel chosen. When they stay, you feel safe. When they say the right words, you feel like your life has meaning. But then heartbreak comes, and suddenly the foundation begins to shake. You are not only grieving the person, you are grieving the future you thought they guaranteed. You are grieving the version of yourself that existed when you felt loved by them. And beneath all that grief, one question rises: who am I without them? That question hurts, but it can also become holy. Because sometimes God allows a false foundation to crack so you can finally see that no person was ever meant to become your God. A person can love you. A person can walk beside you. A person can be part of your story, but they cannot be the source of your life. Heartbreak reveals where attachment became dependence, where love became worship, and where fear of losing someone became stronger than your trust in God. 2. When they leave, the silence becomes a place where God speaks. At first, the silence feels cruel. You check your phone even though you know there is no message. You replay conversations looking for the moment everything changed. You wonder how someone who once seemed so close could become so distant. But slowly, if you stop running from the silence, it begins to change. It becomes a mirror. It shows you the loneliness you tried to cover with attention, the insecurity you hoped someone else would heal, the emptiness you kept filling with their presence. And beneath all that pain, you begin to sense something deeper. God often speaks loudest when everything else goes silent, because when the relationship ends, the distractions end too. The emotional highs and lows stop. The anxiety of trying to keep someone fades. The performance of being enough begins to collapse. And there you are, alone, exposed, heartbroken, but not abandoned. This is where many people meet God again. Not with perfect words, not in perfect strength, but on the floor, in tears, with no energy left to pretend. And somehow, in the middle of that brokenness, they discover that God was not waiting for them to become whole before coming close. He was close because they were broken. 3. Heartbreak teaches you surrender. Love can make us believe we are in control. We think if we love hard enough, they will stay. If we explain ourselves clearly enough, they will understand. If we become more patient, more forgiving, more available, then maybe the relationship will survive. So we overthink, we chase, we apologize for things that were not ours to carry. We shrink ourselves to avoid being left. But heartbreak teaches a painful truth. You cannot force someone to love you correctly. You cannot make someone value what they are determined to lose. You cannot hold together what God is allowing to fall apart. And this is where surrender begins. Not the easy kind, the real kind. The kind that happens when your hands are tired from holding on to someone God has already asked you to release. Surrender does not mean you stopped loving them. It means you stopped making them the ruler of your peace. It means you finally whisper, God, I do not understand this, but I trust you more than I trust my need to control it. That is not weakness. That is faith. Because heartbreak often becomes the place where control dies and trust begins.